Perfect. Now I have your number. Thanks.
Hey, I'm Robbie Kramer. You're listening to the Leverage Podcast, where we discuss using your social skills to hack dating, travel, finding your dream job, and becoming a complete man.
So what's up, guys? Welcome to another interview at the Leverage Podcast. We've got a dope guest on today. We're also streaming live on TikTok on both my account and his, and that's Russell Hartley. He's a men's confidence and dating coach. And people basically, when people ask him what he does, he says, "I'm the real life Hitch," which is what I say too. And it was actually kind of unsettling. I was giving a speech at there's a company called the Natural Lifestyles, and they were holding an event here in Kiev last week, and they asked me to come in as a guest speaker and speak.
Is that Max? Is that Max that is Naturals?
No, that Max. Are you talking about Max Torno? He was a former RSD guy. He's now does his own thing. But he's also here in Kiev. The Natural Lifestyles is like James Marshall.
Yeah. Those guys are back at it. They closed down during COVID.
Yeah, exactly. So I gave a speech at their event, and I was basically saying like how I got into this stuff, and I'm like, well, after I read the game, I'm like, who here has read the game? And like one guy raised their hand. And I'm like, geez, you guys haven't read the game? I guess I'm getting pretty old. And then I'm like, well, who's seen the movie Hitch? Another like one guy raised their hand. They're like, no, we haven't seen it. I'm like, okay, I've been a dating coach maybe too long. So
yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah. So young people don't understand. I haven't seen that, but So I know I'm with you, man. The game, and to be honest, I read the game. I watched The Pickup Artist back in the day.
Of course.
I'm with you totally. A lot of people I'd say under the age of 30 they're not going to know a lot of this stuff, which is fine. It's all good. Yeah. It paves the way for new blood.
I think it's great.
Like the game.
I think it's great because there's so much bad advice in the game. I mean, it's a great story and it's an inspiring story, but there's so much.
I lost you, bro. Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah. I was just saying there's a lot of bad advice. So it's almost better to work with people that haven't, kind of bought in too much to the pickup artist stuff. But tell us your story. How'd you get into this whole crazy world?
Okay. Yeah. It's so funny because I just posted a video about this on, I think my TikTok is reestablishing connection here. I'm sorry about that. It's a technical issue. And let me restart it maybe.
Oh, good.
Because I think the internet just like kicked it for a second. Give me 1 second, bro. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
Cannot connect.
To the guys in my TikTok live who just joined, I've got an interview here with Russell Hartley, men's dating coach. He's just working on his connection here, so we'll be back in a moment.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Give me 1 second, guys. It looks like my internet just dropped. So that's why I cut out for a second there. So I'm talking to you on the live, or obviously my data, which is fine, but okay, sorry. Now my internet's back. Sorry about that. Randomly kicks it sometimes.
Where are you at currently?
So I'm in Beverly Hills, California. So when I say, and hello everyone, Russell Hartley here. When I say that I'm the real life, I know that is a bit that falls on a lot of deaf ears because it's young for folks. But I'll tell you what I do now, and I'll tell you how I fell into it. How about that? Because I did fall into this. It's not something that like I sort of sought out. It just sort of something that kind of fell into my lap. And then I just continued with it. And I've been doing it now for 6 years, something like. So it's been a while. But even before that, I was more or less living the lifestyle, but it wasn't like a professional thing. I had an adult job for a large portion of my adult life. But anyway, so let me kind of back into that. So firstly, when I say that I'm Hitch, the things that I do for men, it's very similar to maybe Ryan Gosling in Stupid Crazy Love, like what he did with Steve Carell. So he takes this guy that's just, had a rough situation happen to him. His wife cheats on him, whatever. He's totally been cucked and then in his life, and he's feeling a bit defeated, and some young man decides to sort of take him under his wing and help him out. Yeah. And then in that process, they do some sort of like, they do some transformation, teach them some social skills, and then, teach them how to meet beautiful women. And that's essentially what I do, obviously in a much more professional way. But what I do for men is that a part of my process is that I take men and I total image consulting and styling. So, and also I lean on experts in the area. So I take my guy and I bring him to the people that I know that are the best. So it's like, we'll groom them up, we'll style them up. So we'll take guys that have been wearing top dogs since 1995 and put them in a more appropriate adult wardrobe that better presents themselves. And then also we'll groom them, we'll style them, haircuts, we'll shave them, groom them, whatever they need based on their specific individual needs. And I'll tell you a funny story about that, actually. And so once I sort of overhaul their presentation, it's important that I don't want to take men and change them into something they're not. I don't want to do that. For instance, I wouldn't take a guy who's like heavy in tech, doesn't ever leave their house, and put him in a GQ suit or whatever. I would never do that. I basically understand them and their life, figure that out after doing some analysis, and then based on those conditions, do I style them accordingly? And I work with a wide variety of people, up from private equity to like musicians and so on, and everything in between. So obviously that creates a lot of diversity, and it creates a lot of like options for wardrobe, and things are different for each person. Does that make sense? But I do work on their presentation, because it may not be something that people like to hear, but the way you look and the way you present yourself to the world matters. Not even outside of the scope of dating. That's why I say so much more that I'm more of a confidence coach than I do get guys to girl, but that's sort of a byproduct of the actual coaching, which is I show them how to style themselves. I teach them how to confidently behave with their body language. Then I teach them social skills. Then I bring them to exclusive places that they wouldn't otherwise get into, like high-end clubs, like Hollywood Hills parties, private events, stuff like that, so that they can socialize in an echelon of society they wouldn't otherwise have access to. Not necessarily that that's their cup of tea per se, but it might be, or it usually is. And that being said, they do that in an attempt to meet their girlfriend or wife. It's so funny because a lot of young guys, and rightfully so, but a lot of young guys come and they want to work with guys like me because they want to be like fucking Hugh Hefner, Dan Bilzerian. They want to be like this. They want to live like a DJ or a promoter or something, and it sounds nice in a very like pornographic top of, like way. But the reality is that the kinds of guys that work with me, that actually work with me, 97% of them want girlfriends or wives. Straight up, they're looking for companionship, they're looking for a partner, something like this. They just have social and anxiety challenges that keep them from dating maybe even the women that they deserve, let's say. I think a lot of men struggle to date the women that they want, and instead just settle for the women that make it easy for them, like low-hanging fruit, the ones that they can get because the women made it easy, rather than them being an assertive man and going after the women that they like and then getting those women. It's that happens a lot, and I think that that's a huge confidence issue, and I think it's more common where I am than where you are. Like I think guys in the Ukraine are a little bit more assertive, and they're a bit more okay with being masculine. I know that this problem persists everywhere. I'm just saying, generally speaking, a lot of North American men are becoming softer and less masculine and more effeminate than masculine, and that's causing them. It's directly impacting their assertiveness and their willingness to put themselves out there in a way that's risky, and that's a challenge for a lot of American men. So and that's despite their age. Like, so it can be young, old. That's a big issue for a lot of guys.
For sure. Yeah, no, you touched some really important points there. And that's, fashion is the fastest and most effective way of making an immediate transformation. And that's one of those areas that guys just have no clue how bad they typically are. When I get a client, they come to me, I'll always ask them on that first initial call, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think of your fashion? And no guy ever says like below 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And, you look at him, you're like, come on, man. Like, you don't even know how to put an outfit together.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, and you don't need to be a fucking fashionista either. I'm okay with guys. Here's the thing, just like with social skills and just like with fashion or anything else, a lot of young guys, this is exactly what you should do. Guys, if you're on my TikTok, here's the answer for you. If you don't want to afford a dating coach or whatever, you should start by imitating others. Do what other people do that are better than you. So follow Instagram pages, follow pages where people put together styles for you and then, or for themselves, and you go, oh, I like that look. And then go fucking duplicate that at first. And then as you start to get a sense of how this is done through practice, will you be able to put your personality into it and then start making little adjustments here and there, different tops, different like little bits of flair or jewelry or whatever it is. And then you can start putting your own sort of take on things. And then if you do that enough, eventually to be a unique style that is socially acceptable, but uniquely you. And that's really the answer. So a lot of guys don't know how to dress, but it's okay. Or here's the thing. It's not that they don't know how to dress. It's that they don't care. It's like maybe their father never taught them. I don't know. Most of their clothes are hanging over the side of an armchair. And then that's their wardrobe. And it's like, that's not that it's wrong, but it's definitely not inspired, let's say. And I think that, like I said, the way that you present yourself matters. And if you look good, you'll feel good. And also people will notice. And that's important. And it's a huge boost to your confidence. That's the biggest thing. And that's what I emphasize. That's first. That's day one. Let's look at your image. You see how you're presenting yourself, because it's more than just how other people perceive you. It's how you project yourself as well. If you're wearing, every person that's in a fresh fit, like a fresh new fit, they go, wow, they walk different, bro. They walk different. They talk different. They're standing up straight. That's a huge thing. That's an impact to their confidence. And that by itself may translate in your communication with others. It does usually, but not always. So that's why I say may translate. But that may translate to your communication with others, and that will improve your dating situation for sure. Women know this, and they've been doing this for a long time. That's why women have new outfits and they shop a lot, because it definitely affects their confidence when talking to men. And fair enough. And I think that men in some ways should adopt that behavior a bit, not become a shopaholics, fucking buying new stuff every single day, not necessarily, but you definitely should have care and thought into what you select to choose how you present yourself, period. And that is in every area of your life, not just dating, but every place. And and I think that if people were to understand that, really understand that, they would look at it differently, and they would approach their life differently and set aside the time it takes to like really invest in becoming like a unique, well put together, individual. I think, exactly.
Before
you asked a question, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Before you were a coach, what was your kind of journey like? Did you ever struggle? Did you have, any sort of period in your life where because most guys get into this to try to figure it out for themselves. That's certainly why I got into it. But what was your sort of motive there?
Yeah. Okay. Exactly. Yeah. I get that question a lot. And that makes a lot of sense. And a lot of the reason why I get that question, they say, well, you're a good looking guy. Why are you doing this? Of course this works for you. That's a lot of guys say that to me. And it's like, bro, it's a lot of work to look good, period, no matter who you are. And for me particularly. And so I have to spend a considerable amount of time in the gym. I have to work out. I have to dress well, and I have to do all these things to make myself attractive. And it's work. It's not easy. And if I were to show you or anybody, if I were to show you or anybody like a before and after, it would blow your fucking mind. And in fact, even when I started on TikTok, because I go through periods of my life, peaks and valleys. And when I started on TikTok, I just started a company, and everything was online-based tech company. And I spent a shit ton of time literally just sitting in front of my computer, working, drinking a fucking tall 7-Eleven coffee and a donut or whatever. And I was like shriveled up like a cigarette. And when people looked at me when I was posting videos about dating 2 girls at a time and doing all this stuff, and I didn't look then just a year ago on TikTok like I do now on TikTok, like visually and how I actually look. And people looked at those videos and they're just like, there's no fucking way this ugly motherfucker's getting girls. That's what they were saying, by the way. It was super common. And then because I was a period of my time where I was like struggling to get everything put together, in my one of my businesses. And so in that time, I wasn't taking care of myself. I looked really shitty. I'll admit it. Scroll back, bro. Any of you guys on my live right now, go back to my old TikTok. Go to one of my first videos. You're gonna go, what the fuck? This is not even the same person. And because I was getting so much fucking hate for talking about like getting girls, but I looked in a way that doesn't look like I would be getting girls, physically speaking. And and they're like, this guy must be photoshopping his photos, blah blah blah. But it's like, no, we go through these periods in our life where it's like you don't look the way you look. And now when people try to ridicule me or whatever, they go, well, of course this works for you. You look good. It's like, fuck you, man. You don't even fucking know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? And so, and when and that being said, you're right. A lot of guys, even on TikTok or any social media in general, they get into this, like giving this fucking armchair wisdom that they just Googled on 7 ways to be more attractive. And they're doing that because they themselves are single and are trying to figure it out. So then they start going down that road. They do it for a while, they get a following, then they get sort of stuck into this fucking pigeonhole of being this person because that's what works for them on social media rather than true actual passion. It's more validation than passion. And the difference between me and those guys is that I genuinely want to see my guys improve. That's the only thing that I care about. And TikTok for me is a vehicle to make that happen. I started doling out probably not well thought out dating advice, and it worked. You get what I'm saying? There's a big fucking difference. And how I started with dating coaching in general, way before TikTok, was that, so I have a degree in mathematics. I worked in an aerospace company called Northrop Grumman, which is national defense. I had top secret clearance, traveling the world, building and selling weapons for governments around the world. Okay, that's what I did. And I did that for a long time, and it was good, and I had a lot of fun in it, and it was interesting, but it wasn't a passion of mine. I did it, it's good money, but I didn't enjoy it, let's say, and I didn't enjoy my life. I was wildly depressed. And so instead, what I was doing is I'm making a bunch of money. I automated my job, so it was more or less, it was less painful, and I was able to kind of have some freedoms in that. And I just spent all my free time getting women, going out and dating, going to casinos, going to fucking bars, like all kinds of shit, just debauchery, bro. And I did that for close to a decade. And the friends that I were with, there were younger guys and older guys, didn't matter, way more successful than me. They didn't have a 9-to-5 job. It wasn't like that. I'm observing this. I'm like, what's going on here? You know? And I wasn't good at anything else but getting girls. Because I was the nerd that consumed all the mystery, the mystery method and all the pickup material. And I sat there and watched Arash D Bazaar, and I watched those VH1 shows, and I did all this stuff. And I learned the technical, to the meticulous detail of the technical, actually. And so much so that now I think a lot of absorbing the technical is just mental masturbation. It doesn't actually get you anywhere. Right. But it is what it is. And so but I do know all of the detail. And so then once I started working with clients, I'll tell you how that transition happened. But once I started working with clients, I started working with guys in the local area. No advertising, none, zero. It was only guys that came to me and they had my card. That was it. And I was charging $2,000 a week per client. I worked with 3 clients at a time, and I would do that thing that I described to you. And then it was like, okay, well, I have all these clients in this area. Why don't I put together like this live show where I can just bring all the world's best coaches to meet to LA and to have them talk to my guys or whatever. And then I reached out to all those fucking guys, like all the VH1 guys, Matador, Cosmo, the guy that won the Pickup Artist, Mystery, Neil Strauss, all those guys to come and talk to my guys in LA. And they did. And now we're good friends. If you look at my Instagram, I have a picture at my birthday party with Neil Strauss, Cosmo, VH1's the Pickup Artist, Mystery. His real name's Eric. But you get what I'm saying? Like all those guys. I know RSD. I know the RSD guys. I know what the lawsuits and things that happened with RSD Tyler and why they broke apart. All the RSD guys know me, though. Well, they know of me. Max, I think, actually transitioned to business before I came up. But that was like a whole thing of my life, bro. I'm really involved in this. It's not that I'm a good-looking guy that gets girls, so I should help others. It's like, actually, though, I know way more technical than you can ever fucking imagine, actually. And I teach guys, and I do this, and I get results for people. Every single person I get results for, because I'm meticulous. And I also am very critical of who I work with. I say no to a lot more than yes. So just say. Yeah. And and so how this worked, how this came about, you asked me how this came about. Well, what happened is that I was going out to places in Hollywood and I was pulling girls home 2 at a time. And some of my friends would witness that and talk about it behind my back, apparently. I didn't know this. And then a guy that was a friend of mine, I'm not going to mention his name because he became a client. He came to me and is like, bro, he's in his early 40s, mid 40s. I just told the story on TikTok. He's in his mid early 40s at the time. And he was an equity trader, good looking guy, Italian guy, dressed well. But early, getting a little older, starting to look for a companion, that's fair enough. And he was like, I want to do that. I've never in my life done that. I'm a successful guy. I don't know why not. I just never have. And then so that was my first client, and I started making money. And then I out of the gate, I charged a lot. Like I started charging a lot. And then so once I did that, it sort of snowballed from there. Next thing you know, I'm like, and the next thing you know, that guy that I worked with got married to one of the girls he met. They eloped. I don't recommend doing this, by the way, but they eloped. And they're still married to this day. And she's a supermodel, like half Malaysian, half Islander. I don't know, but she was successful enough to own her own house in Malibu by herself. And they're married. They got a kid now. And it's like, and they thank me, bro. I'm a household name. They say, bro, thank you so much. Like all, like legit that. And what I get out of that, the gratitude, the fulfillment, the fact that this guy was living his life, met me, and then changed the directions of his life in a way that, fingers crossed in the moment, but ended up being better for him and him finding probably the most important relationship that he will ever have in his life, is fucking dope. That's why I do it. That's why I do it. The money is whatever. You can make money drop shipping fucking baby crates on fucking Amazon and probably make more money than I'm doing. But though, the gratitude that I get is why I do it. And that's why I do it despite the animosity that I get, bro, because I get a lot. So that's why I do it. And it's not even money, but it's not that much money. Like I can make more money being a drop shipper or something, like I said. So I get a lot of fulfillment out of it.
One thing I noticed that, obviously the two things I think guys overlook from the get-go, and these are guys who can be, pretty good with girls, ranging from guys who are just god awful, but they usually really overestimate their fashion, which we talked about. And the other thing that almost every guy fucking overestimates or doesn't put enough importance in is texting. And I know you speak about that quite a bit. I noticed you've got like a texting guide or product. I sell one too. But I wanted to ask you about that because guys just don't really understand how bad most of their text messaging skills are and how bad it's cock blocking them, stopping them from getting dates and, kind of following up with the girls they have. So talk about that a bit.
Yes, sure. So the text, I say, first and foremost, the dating landscape has changed. We all have iPhones. That's the game now. We all have iPhones. So the point is that because of that, no matter which scenario you meet people here, let's just go through how it works. The guy goes, I'm a single guy. I need to get a girlfriend. That's what he says, right? Okay. Well, then what do? What does every single person do? Men or women? What does every single person do? They all do this. They go, oh, well, I'll just Uber one. I'll just get on fucking Uber Eats and summon a boyfriend from my fucking device in my hand. So instead of Uber Eats, they download a different app called Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, Riot, Elite. It doesn't matter. They download one of these apps and they start swiping as if it's fucking Uber Eats, and they will find a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever. So most people do that because they don't have their friends circle, their real life friend circle is diminishing. Most of their friends are online on video games, whatever, or they've sailed off into the sunset with their partners and they're getting older. So they're becoming more and more isolated and fewer and fewer like going out, hanging out friends because everybody's chasing money or whatever. They don't have time to hang out with you. And then so these guys, these lonely guys are not going out and having social skills. So they're not meeting women in person. But even if they did, even if you met a woman in person, the first thing you do, we call this in the old school pickup community, call it a time bridge. But the idea is that when you meet a woman, you're like, hey, nice to meet you, whatever. Hey, we should do a whatever sometime and get a phone number. That's always the case. 100% of the time, you have to nowadays get a phone number. And even if the girl likes you, or even if the girl doesn't like you, she'll give you a phone number just to get you out of her face. But then the game begins. You got to be able to communicate in a way that's not fucking needy. And so many guys, if they get a girl's number, they think, oh, wow, she gave me a number. She must really like me. And then they do this too much or do it they do it in an uncalibrated way, and they lose the girl that would have otherwise been interested in them. So the texting happens right away. If they message people on Tinder, Bumble, whatever, or on Instagram or on TikTok or whatever, texting happens. The communication over the phone happens immediately, every scenario. So that's why in my program, I have one program. It's called How to Get a Girlfriend in 42 Days. It's one product, it's a $1,000 product. Inside of that is a course called Module 0, which is text game guide. That's the very first step, because no matter at what point you meet women, most of the time you'll be texting them right away, most of the time. So whether you're meeting them online, whether you're meeting them in person, whatever, the text game is something that is not only an incredible boon to your toolkit, but is absolutely necessary at every point in the relationship, from the very beginning to setting up that first date to well into your relationship with women, period. So you have to establish a good and strong text communication first. And unfortunately for a lot of guys, where they fuck that up is they come across too needy, too aggressively sexual, too whatever. And I cover all that in specific details. Check it out, guys. On my TikTok, there's a free video there. Go check that shit out. It'll change your life, I promise you. And also, I stand by all of my work. So everything's 100% money back guarantee. If it doesn't work for you, I give you your money back. There's no questions asked. So you can't lose. Go check it out. It'll change your life for real.
Cool, man. Yeah, the texting, as I mentioned, it's guys just think about it too logically. You know, they think that they should text women like they text their colleagues at work, or they're just like, you know, they get right to the punch. They don't do anything to kind of make the woman remember why they like them in the first place, or they either overgame by sending too much sort of attraction material, or they're just like, you know, very needy. And when are we going out? Very pushy. So that's usually,
yeah, it's all the time trying to solve a logistical problem. Like it's like, hey, so when are you available? Oh, next Thursday. Okay, well, let me pencil you into my calendar. 8 o'clock next Thursday. We got a date. Okay, see you then. As if they're talking to a man, which is like, that might work for very busy women, but for the most part, women they're already flaked on you a week later. You know, so you got to, what I call keeping them warm. So you got to communicate throughout the whole time, and but it can't be to the point where you're like, well, I can't wait to see you, all this shit, because so many guys get excited that they get a girl's number, they overdo it, and they're putting all their eggs in one basket, and they scare them away, or they underdo it, and it's like, all right, cool, we'll see you next Wednesday, and then they want to schedule it like it's their meeting, and it's like that doesn't work either. So there's a balance, but but the point is that texting builds relationships. Most women are when I say most, I mean the majority, almost all of them are texting their friends, family, all that. That's the way they communicate with people that they love, people that are close in their life. And so why would you be any different than that? Right. So that's the point. And so you need to learn how to communicate. And this is just good peopling, by the way. That's not really like a game, or that's not really a game or a tactic or anything. You need to communicate well with the people in your life. You need to show that you're considerate and you care without being over the top and burdensome by messaging them all the time and all that. That's just good people. And now when you communicate with a romantic interest, obviously there'll be more charged conversation, emotionally charged conversation per se, but still though, you should have a balance between not enough and way too needy. And I think needy, we should eliminate that, but the amount of time you should text them and what you should talk about is covered in great detail in my program. It's a link in my bio. Check it out.
So tell me about dating in LA. I used to live in LA. I lived on the corner of Doheny and Sunset.
I know that neck of the woods.
Yeah, right by Turner's Liquor there, whatever that one on the corner is. Used to party with Ron Jeremy sometimes. He was a neighbor. And, you know,
Ron
LA.
Ron Jeremy, dude. You still see him walking around.
Oh, yeah. He's always right down under Whiskey A Go-Go there or whatever. I've got a picture of him like passed out petting my dog. And, you know, you just meet interesting people in LA, of course. But LA, especially since the pandemic, has, you know, become probably a really interesting dating community. So I wanted to ask you about that. One thing, you know, I'm a big fan of meeting women during the day, just because online dating can be, you know, there's so much noise in like hot women get.
Well, you know what you're getting into, bro, during the day. There's no Facetune in real life.
Exactly. So yeah, when I used to live in LA, I would do drive around day game, I called it. So I basically just kind of, you know, and I would take clients out to do this too. I'd mic them up. I'd have my my hidden camera, and we would just
you hollering out the window.
No, we'd pull over, and then I'd have them chase a girl down on the sidewalk, either on Santa Monica Boulevard or on Sunset Boulevard. You know, you just don't see that many chicks walking around LA.
You do now, bro. Post-COVID, it's like they're everywhere, man. Like legit, you can't go to clubs, you can't go to bars right now, right? So these people that have been pent up for the last however long, it's been a long time, are ready to get out of their house. So literally everywhere you go, people are just walking around the streets, hanging out during the day on the open, like, and not just the typical hot girl like boba places, but like, actual like everywhere, because they're not like sleep until 4 p.m. because they went out to a club or are going out to a club. That's not happening anymore. Instead, people are going out and hanging out during the day, wherever. They're just happy to get out of their house in full makeup. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it used to be. And I agree with you. It used to be like that, where it's basically the window is really late at night. And in some ways, I'm grateful for that, actually, because I don't like going out late at night anymore, bro. I'm kind of over that shit, to be honest with you. Like, day
I love the fact that New York. I used to live there too. I would split my time between New York and LA before I moved to Kiev.
Yeah.
But New York, everything closes at 4, which means the after party doesn't start until 4:35, which means you're out until 7. If you take a girl home or whatever. But LA, luckily, after parties start like right at 2 because they kick you out of the bars around 1:30. So everyone used to complain like, "Oh, LA closes too early." I'm like, no, that's better because, it just gets you to somewhere where you can have more fun anyways sooner. But so
sure.
How typically do you, advise your clients and yourself to meet women in LA? Between like, especially now, given luckily everything seems to be open now and the pandemic is hopefully
everything's not open yet. No bars, no clubs yet. Restaurants are opening. But they're not. It's not open yet. But it's getting there. It's getting close. So I think there's three ways to meet women. Okay, and obviously that's a bit multifaceted. But the reality is that no matter what, you need to put yourself out there. And there's 3 ways to do that. It's online, obviously, day game and night game. And I think that all 3 of those have different approaches, but they're all it's like people, anybody that has a business online or anything like that starts very quickly to understand sales funnels and traffic sources. So you have like different roads that bring people to you, and that might require you have to put yourself out there so that people see you, but they're different avenues, right, to explore, and you should take advantage of all of them if you want to have like a fulfilling business that is effective and continues to pay you and all that stuff. Abundance, right? So in the same thing applies with dating. So and this goes for men and women too. As a woman, even you're not going to sit at home on your couch like fucking Rapunzel and have some man just appear. It's not going to happen. You must put yourself out there, and the ways that you do it is by A, getting out of your house, and B, putting yourself out there online. So the same thing goes with men. The thing is, women want to be out of the house. They want to go out. They want to have an adventure. They want to get brunch with their friends, all that shit. Men only ever leave for a specific thing. Like, I got to go to the grocery store. I'm going to run the post office. I'm going to go to the fucking Target. I don't know. But they go straight to the thing. They come back. They don't go out and sort of meander around. Women do though. Women do though. Like, men may go out and meander around, but it's for a specific purpose. It's like, oh, let's go meet some girls today. And then they'll go to a place where they think girls are and meander that way. But like outside of that though, like the only time it's always for men, it's a specific directive. That's it. Women just kind of want to be out in the world and enjoy the sun and fresh air. But men want to have like a little cave and like live within it and never have to leave unless they have to go collect, the coconuts or whatever it is they're looking for. I don't know. So that's a fundamental difference. And so if women are out and they're, with their friends or just want to go out to, I don't know, a coffee shop on a nice walk, who knows? Who the fuck knows? But they're out doing these things. So I think that if men were to start to understand that more, they might put themselves out there in that way, and they could meet women in person. And I think you're right. Meeting women in person allows people to know what they're getting into. That's important. And there's no catfish scenario. There's no who's lying about their height, who's lying about their age, who's lying about their filters they're using on their faces, like all that shit. And you get to kind of see that. And I think that's beneficial for both men and women. And I think in a lot of ways, particularly women, they think that, well, if I go out, maybe I'll meet Prince Charming at the coffee shop and we'll hit it off. And that's hopeful thinking. And I think that that's fair. That's okay. And you could meet a cute guy at the coffee shop that ends up sailing off into the sunset with you and all that. And that's quite a story. And I think that women would prefer that rather than meeting a guy at a bar or club or whatever. There's sort of a stigma that goes with it. Not to say that you can't meet people there. Of course you can. Just saying that I think that it's a hopeful, romantic ideal that if I get out of the house and do something, maybe Prince Charming will meet me and sweep me off my feet. Not saying that they're looking for that all the time, but I am saying though that that's a thought in the back of their mind. That's why when you go to a place in public, you put yourself together well. You never know. And so men should start putting themselves out there in a similar way as well, particularly when they're single, and particularly if they need to sharpen their social skills. Because if you don't use it, you lose it. So if you're going out into the world, you should start approaching women that you like and maybe you lose a lot, but at least going through that process, do you start to get better at that dialogue and talking with strangers and so on. That's a huge thing. Similarly with DMing women online. The ways of meet, like, but anyways, to answer your question, 3 ways I think men should meet women are online, day game, and night game, and all 3 of those approaches are different. Early night game is similar to day game, but late night, like late night game, think like you don't go out till 11:30 night game. That's different. It's more assertive. It's a bit more competitive. It's different. But it's all good. All of those are good. I'm sure you're teaching the same thing. You got to be, because what's the other one? Did I miss anything? So I'm sure you're teaching close to the same thing too. Right.
Social circle, but that takes a while. It's
social circles. Yeah, but social circles are a thing that's going away. It's like the thing about social circles, particularly when we're in a global pandemic, is nobody has any. The people that they talk to are all virtual. They're not hanging out with these people. They're not like going out and just kicking it. And even if we weren't in a pandemic, who the fuck has the time? So it's like most people are pursuing, working their career or whatever, and it's very hard for them to maintain ongoing in-person relationships with their friends, which is a tragedy, but also for a lot of folks, a necessity to not do that. They have to focus on their grind, which I appreciate. You figure even if you're not building the next Amazon or whatever the fuck, you still have to go to work 9 to 5, let's say, and by the time you wake up, take a shit, drive to work, get off work, eat lunch, dinner, maybe work out. You got around 20 minutes before you got to be in bed, motherfucker, till you got to wake up tomorrow. Who has the time to just hang out? You know what I'm saying? So my point is that social circles are diminishing. Again, a tragic situation. However, it's hard to meet people through social circles if you don't fucking have one. I think it's important to foster friendly relationships with men. But that's a challenging thing to do because as you get older, particularly as you get older. And so so what, asshole? The answer is still, you got to go out there and meet new people, and women, you'll be able to spend more time with women than you will like fellow men, because men are out on their grind, and women are more looking for a partner, single women, let's say. And so I think that, yes, social circles is an avenue, but I certainly don't think that people should rely on them. Like, I think they should have their homeboys or whatever.
Is the most advanced form of game, quote unquote, is kind of building that. I call it the difference between hunting and farming, right?
Farming, I like farming.
If you're single, yeah. So if you're just out hunting girls, whether that's day, night, or whatever, you're going up, you're approaching, you're doing your thing, and that's great. And eventually, you kind of get to a point. At least I did, and from the sound of it, it sounds like you probably have too, where especially if you're single and you're trying to enjoy a single fun lifestyle, you've got some girls in a rotation that you see casually now and again. But I kept running into this drama after 2 or 3 months. Usually they want something more monogamous, and I just be like, I'm just kind of trying to have fun, and then those relationships would end. But what I found is that once I started kind of cultivating a social circle full of girls who were also kind of looking for more of the casual dating sort of scenarios, younger girls typically in their early 20s, and then meeting friends through their friends, that became kind of like this self-fulfilling sales funnel, when it came to girls. And people in that world, this was a lot of like models in the nightclub industry, and I was involved with some model houses in LA and New York and promoters and whatnot. And the girls that run in those circles tend to be a lot more promiscuous party girls, and they're totally fine with like, they'll bang you and your buddy, and you'll bang her and her friend. And very like open-minded sort of, sexual community, where, all of those problems that I was kind of bringing up as far as like, you meet a girl through day game or you meet her through online dating, the traditional kind of path or narrative there is likely you'll end up in a relationship or you'll end up broken up, versus if you're hanging out in the party scene with more kind of crazy party people, you can kind of perpetually do that. But then of course that,
but you know what, bro, I know that, and that at face value sounds great for a lot of young guys. But I think that if you lived it, and believe me, I definitely have, even those people in it don't want to live like that for very long. They might do it or whatever, but it's not great. A lot of men don't get me wrong. I think you can absolutely fill your week up with thoughts, and I think that's fine. But a lot of men don't even want that. Like they realize that like everybody's being promiscuous, including themselves. And if you want to have like let's say I rotation, stable, roster, whatever you want to call it, black book, all of those, and I've referred to all of those, and believe me, I've lived this. I've told vivid stories in my early TikToks about this stuff. And I would say that can be fun, and it's an interesting scenario, but it's fucking exhausting. And staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning trying to get laid at after parties and all this shit is a fucking dude. It's an exhausting waste of your life, and I think you should be way busier in your life than pursuing women that are sleeping with you and your boy. You get what I'm saying? And then furthermore, you can't. But that isn't to say that you can't have really great relationships with multiple different women and have this scenario where you're sort of a bachelor, as long as you're honest with women. Because what people don't realize, what the young guys don't realize, is that sex can hurt people, and it more often than it doesn't. And a lot of these fly by night relationships, or having these, like, let's say women cycling in and out of your bedroom like a revolving door, almost never works on both ends because of jealousy. They get fucking jealous. They're both sleeping with 2, 3, 4 partners, and they pretend like they're not. And then they just get jealous when they get wind that the other person might be. And men are worse than women too in a lot of cases. And so that where young men think they want to live like that, they start dating girls that are a little bit more free like that or whatever, and then they can't fucking handle it. You get what I'm saying? And it's okay. It's okay to be a revolving door of women in your life. And you're right. They will leave. They will pursue greener pastures at some point when they realize it's not going anywhere, and that's fine too. But the way that a lot of young men, or men in general, handle that scenario is by leading women to believe that they're going to be in a serious, committed, monogamous relationship. It's not yet. And then if they keep that up for so much time, I call it buying credit. They're just buying credit with the girl. And then a girl goes, wait a second, this isn't going anywhere. And then they bounce. And then that's it, But I think it's way better to just be upfront and honest with women. And then that way you give women the choice, and they know what they're getting into, so that they might still get hurt, but at least you're not leaving a trail of fucking disaster in your wake and ruining her life or maybe your life. Because a lot of guys will try to maintain a stable with women for 5 fucking years. And then they're dating all of these girls, and that girl started dating you at 25 is now 30. Yeah. And not, you know what I'm saying? And not any younger. You know what I mean? So that's a big issue. That's a big problem. And I think that you can go down that route. And it's okay if you're honest, but you will have a much more volatile sex life. Sometimes, and it'll be peaks and valleys. You have a lot of women in your life, and then you'll have no women in your life for maybe even a couple months, and then you're just like, oh fuck. Then what? So if you don't have the willpower to manage those peaks and valleys, that is why most people just end up kind of shacked up with one of the people that they were promiscuous with, let's say. You see what I'm saying?
Totally. Yeah. You touched on that earlier, which is so important. There are so many guys that just kind of settle and end up in a relationship that's just really not what they kind of thought they deserved, and that's sad. Yeah, bro. I'm just like, I'm keenly aware of all of these things, and I think that young guys want to have this sort of playboy lifestyle, and I think that they can, and I also think that they should. However, I think they should go about it not like every fucking other guy goes about, which is the way that most men go about dating multiple women is through deceit or misleading, kind of. You get what I'm saying? And they will date women, full well knowing that they're never going to get married. They know that good and well, but yet they'll date a woman for 5 fucking years. Yeah, it's fucked up. It's like you're an asshole. And they're like, well, I didn't, they didn't explicitly say no, but they definitely let it on for fucking a long time. And that makes you a bad person. And really? I think that that's what I mean by leaving a trail of disaster in your wake. And believe me when I say I teach men how to get women for a living. I do this, and I'm passionate about it. However, I teach men not to be fucking assholes. You should have a healthy sex life, but wrecking women's lives, depriving them of their dating prime is not the move. Yeah, you get what I'm saying? You're right. And so a lot of guys do that though, and a lot of coaches teach guys that shit though, and it
fucks them up, dude. You're fucking yourself up. And then and some guys are too fucking stupid to even know that they're doing that. They don't even fucking know they're doing it. They're completely oblivious. Women, though, are painfully aware of it. Every day ticks by. It's like they're stressing out. It's like sand slipping through the hourglass and they're freaking out, bro. So I think that, yeah, be a player, bro, but be honest and live that and have those short-term volatile relationships. And that's the path you chose. There's sacrifice in that, but at least you're not a fucking asshole. But there's also sacrifice with being serious, committed, monogamous too. And then sacrifice is foregoing the options with other women or foregoing maybe meeting somebody else that may be better for you, whatever. You're willingly shackling yourself to that person and you're trading it for companionship. And hopefully a good companionship is not such that you don't end up in a sexless, loveless fucking marriage. But the point is that I think that guys and what dating coaches are teaching men is wrong. Like, I think that they're teaching men to be fucking players where they're getting one over on all these dumb bitches. And I think that that's wrong, dude. You get what I'm saying? I think that's fucking insane to me. And I cover that quite in great detail. And people don't understand that about me. They call me a pickup artist. I have women in my in my chat right now saying that I'm a misogynist sexist. And it's like, you don't even fucking know what you're talking about. But they put me in that box. And they're doing it right now in the chat. Not everybody, but the dumb ones are. And so that's the reality though, bro. But like, so anyways, I think that men should be upfront with women. I think men should be honest with women. And I think they should experience their sexuality in abundance for sure. All of those things. Just the way that I teach men is to be honest and not be such a bitch when it comes to talking to women that they're attracted to. That's the way that I teach them to communicate well with women. And I'm super effective at getting them results. So that's what I'm into. And I appreciate guys like you that are sort of spreading a similar message, only because first and foremost, being a men's dating coach in general, or even a men's anything in general, in North America at least, is a challenging, arduous road. Now, if you're plus or pro masculinity or pro men being men, you're automatically a misogynist in today's narrative. And that's a really challenging road to navigate. So anybody that's willing to do that is literally sticking their neck out to be attacked by the wolves, and there are many. And I think that's a challenging thing to do, and that's why I reached out to you, because I commend your efforts. And there's a few of us, but there are people out there willing to weather the storm of complicated social justice warrior logistics and the echo chamber of the classic every man's a misogynist and hates women. You get what I'm saying? Especially being a white man in a suit or not in a suit, it doesn't matter, giving other men advice. It's a challenging thing right now. So like guys like you, I think are important for young men and guys that are old dogs, let's say, trying to get back out there, to be a shining beacon of light, to set an example for people that are looking to maybe attract the woman of their dreams or their life partner or partners, let's say. So I admire that about you and a couple of other guys, not all of them, but a couple of them. I don't hate on them though. We all have our journeys, I suppose. But I'm just saying, like, there's only a few guys out there that are truly spreading the gospel. And I think that you're one of them.
Thanks, man.
Robbie, by the way, you guys should check him out.
Yeah, it's a challenging world, especially in North America, as you mentioned, with all of the social justice warriors and just so many ways where you can kind of, get canceled by saying something that someone even spins in a different direction.
Oh yeah, dude. The alternative community comes at me every fucking day. Any way they can, dude. All my videos get banned. All my stuff gets attacked. Like, it's like, guys, you have no fucking idea how pro women I am, actually. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But people have these, they got to derive a narrative because it gets views. but it is what it is. It is what it is. Anyway, so like, yeah, bro, like I think that it's important for young men to understand. And I'm gonna tell you right now, by the way, those old school guys that I looked up to, those mystery VH1's pick apart, when I was young, I looked up to them, and then at some point later in my life, they worked for me. And I sat in the back of those rooms, giving them their space, letting them talk to my guys, and just listening. And I swear to God, bro, I'm not going to say any names, but some of those guys that were on that show, the stuff that they're telling guys, I'm just in the back like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I can't believe they're telling people this, and charging money, and a lot of money too, by the way. And I'm like, Oh my God, dude! You're telling guys this shit, and but again, I'm not gonna go burst the bubble, whatever. But I am saying that there's some fucked up
There's a lot of
narratives out there, bro.
advice out there, and
Yeah.
and unfortunately, most of the guys, not most of them, but a good amount of the guys that come to me that have studied too much, it's always like, all right, we need to go through this process of unlearning all this horse shit before we can kind of get you in a good mental space to then move forward. Because it's way easier with a guy who has typically no sort of background whatever in the whole, dating or seduction community, because there's just so much information out there that's shit. So
Yeah. So let's talk about the red pill, bro. I'm sure you're familiar with the red pill.
Of course, I spoke at the 21 convention a few times, which is the quote unquote red pill event of the whatever the fuck he labels it, the millennium. I don't know. Anthony Johnson's the guy who runs it, and he was kind of a normal sort of dating coach. Well, he was never a dating coach, but he was a seminar runner, and he would, get people together to speak at his event. I started speaking there back in 2012. And as the years went by and as the red pill gained popularity, Rollo's book came out, The Rational Male, his event became like the flagship red pill event. And I wouldn't consider myself like a red pillar. I think the men's movement is great. I just think they can get a little too hardcore, just from the, their very strong opinionated ideologies. But what's your take on it?
Yeah, well, okay, I agree. Here's the thing. What the red pill used to be, and then by the way, for you guys in here, the red pill is like a homage to the Matrix. It's like,
right.
It's more or less pulling back the curtain on reality, because there's so much fallacy. Usually in terms of political correctness, people are being so nice and politically correct that it's in some ways spreading lies, such that people start to believe that this is how life really is, and then become very upset when they realize that that's not the reality, And so the red pill, and what is like sort of like, take this red pill and then you can see the real reality versus what you're seeing in this ever-growing politically correct culture that we live in. Which I'm for being accommodating, I'm for being polite, I'm for being courteous, but I think that PC-ism can be like a thing that can lead people down an incorrect path, let's say, and down this thought bubble rather than the real reality. Okay, so red pill at its core is simply about revealing the truth. That's the idea. Now, what the red pill used to be 10 years ago was fucking dope. The red pill used to be, okay, it's all about hypergamy. As men, only work on your social and economic status. Doesn't matter what women do. Who gives a fuck? Focus on those two things, and through that process will you attract women to you. And that's good advice across the board. That really is the answer for a lot of men. But then now what started to happen was this erosion in the red pill community, where people, because it's on Reddit and or 4chan too, and so people would start posting this stuff about how women are this, and they're just entitled bitches, and they're just really all just sluts, and they're all going to cheat on you if you're not looking, and like all this shit, which obviously goes down a much darker path. And it starts to devolve in what people call the black pill, but it's not the black pill now. Now it's just all red pill. And so what happened where it started out sending like, okay, men, focus on hypergamy, focus on actually increasing how much money you make and actually creating your social standing, not only in your community, but the world around you. That's good advice. To, yeah, kind of do that, but actually fuck women because they're all such entitled bitches. You see, and that right there takes people down the path of people hating women, and it's no good, man. It's like that. It's like oh yeah, well you're just a slut anyways. You don't like me, but you fuck a Chad. Bleh. That's the shit that's posted on red pill now, and it's not fucking productive. It's in fact it's incredibly destructive to your mental health, and you'll start creating these fake, false things about women that are unfucking true. Some of the prettiest girls I've ever met in my life are also very grounded, very smart, and would be great for anybody's life. And they're fucking beautiful. But red pill, the ideology of the red pill is that if she's hot at all, she's automatically a dumb slut that's just doing it for clout.
Yeah, Fergamus, girl looking to.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with a woman wanting to date a man who's attractive. There's nothing wrong with a woman wanting to date a man who's successful and financially secure at the very least. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you're neither of those things, and that woman that you think is a 10 isn't interested in you, you're the fucking problem. Not that she's just some bitch looking upward. You get what I'm saying? Like, because as a man, you have considerable control of how you look. You have considerable control of how much money you make. You have a lot of fucking control. And instead of blaming women for looking up, you should fucking focus on bringing yourself up, period. You see? And the red pill just is focused on fuck women. They only want this. And they're mad that women have the access to these cool things, places, events, travel when they're in their dating prime, let's say. And it's like, yeah, women have a period of their life where they can really maneuver well socially, let's say. But you as a man, you have infinity capacity. You might not get on till you're 50, but if you do get on when you're 50 and you finally become successful and you put yourself together, start working out or whatever, you could date a 26-year-old model for real. Yeah. There's no problem with that. And so it's like, don't be mad at women for the advantages that they have when they have them. Instead, focus on improving your life. And where the red pill used to be that was dope. Now it's not that, and it's just about hating women. And it's like, and they don't think they're saying things that are hating women, but all of the stuff they post about and talk about is a derivative of hating women. And it's a fucking tragedy. And it's this thing where it's the same thing that happens in every channel, where people are just blaming others for their shortcomings in their life rather than taking responsibility for themselves. And it's like, why the fuck are you talking about some HB9 rejecting me, but I know that she's gonna fuck a Chad later tonight? It's like, dude, why are you writing that?
Spending too much time on Reddit.
But that is exactly what is on the red pill, verbatim. And then it's all, and then even some of these new guys, these podcasts and stuff that are popping up, they're like, all you women want is money. And it's like, yeah, why wouldn't they want to be with somebody who's successful? Why the fuck not? Being successful is attractive to everyone. Why the fuck do you think that a woman should date a man who's a broke fucking loser, can't pay his bills and can't eat and can't live? I just love this guy so much, but you might be evicted next week, but I love him. It's like, a woman might feel that strongly emotional at first, but then very quickly realize, I don't want to live my life like this. You know what I'm saying? And also, I don't want to support a guy that is unwilling to improve his life in any way. Most women would agree with me in that statement. And also, men get mad at that statement. And it's like, don't get mad at that, dude. Just increase your effectiveness in the world around you. And then will you attract women that are attracted to suitable, stable guys. And you don't need to be at an attractive 10. Women will date guys that are objectively less attractive, but have a higher social and economic status. That's a fact. They'll date a guy. They might date a guy who's a 10 for a couple of weeks and realize, damn, this guy just sits on the couch and smokes weed every day and doesn't do anything with his fucking life. And they will get tired of that guy and they'll cheat on him or leave him or both. But they'll date a guy who's a 6 or a 7, but is like really well put together in every other area of his life. He's making a lot of money. He's considered highly in the community and the people around him. And like, he has a good social circle. And those are the things that you have all the control over, man. And a 10 will date a guy like that. You see what I'm saying? That's the difference. And so there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with girls wanting to date guys that are stable, financially and successful, because they should be thinking about their futures with those men. They want to have kids. Of course, most women want to have kids. Most women want to have kids, whether they realize that or not. Most people want to have kids. And so would you really want to date a guy to have his child if he can't even fucking put food on the table? Like, is that what you want? You get what I'm saying? So why the fuck are guys mad about women that they want to look for stable, financially successful guys? You know what I'm saying?
That sort of victim mentality that, the red pill used to be about improving yourself as a man and realizing, wow, there's this red pill I can take that will show me what's really happening, what's the reality of the situation. And that was about improving yourself. And now it's more about being a victim and blaming women. So yeah. I think
that's everywhere, bro. That is fucking everywhere, dude. And they all the time don't want to fucking point out everybody does this. The alt community and the radical left does this. The radical right does this. Everybody does this, right? And so I see this all the time. And I would say that fiscally, I'm conservative. I'm more right leaning, but socially, I'm more liberal. Actually, I'm more left leaning. But I'd say I'm in the middle, and I particularly, as an individual, look at each thing individually, case by case, and vote accordingly. Right? That's how I am. Conservatively. So conservatively, financially conservative, and socially liberal, more or less. But I'd say I'd be objective. But what happens is that talking about this victimhood shit, it's like guys will watch these videos of like some 20-year-old at a college campus getting fucking intellectually destroyed by a 45-year-old conservative, and they're like, fuck you liberals, and that's their attitude. But it's like, dude, she's 20 years old. Do you have any idea how stupid you fucking were at 20? Do you remember? You get what I'm saying? It's like, maybe instead of that, maybe once you help them have a level of understanding, then through that understanding, can they change their mind and educate themselves and grow? And they go, oh, I didn't think about it like that, or I haven't seen it that way. And people will observe and like those videos and comment, that bitch got destroyed. And then you'll have, on the other side, they'll have these guys like, he doesn't understand pronouns. Fuck that guy. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like all the time attacking one another, and all the time being the victim and blaming them for the problem instead of taking responsibility for yourself. That's fucking insane. But that's the world we live in. It's not just the red pill. It's everywhere. And that also is hype, bro. And that's hype. And we get rewarded for that shit. Channels that I just described a really fucked up scenario to you. And those channels blow up on YouTube and make those guys hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in ad revenue. Just so you know. So it's not just the red pill. It's everywhere. And all of it is deferring blame.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you want to get better with women, improve your life. If you want to have a better quality of life and not be depressed all the time, improve your life and stop blaming white people. Stop blaming misogyny. Stop blaming fucking BLM movement or whatever the fuck. You get what I'm saying? And like, that's the reality. That's the reality. And guys like you and I pierce the veil on that. And people go, oh shit, this guy's speaking facts. And that's why we have a life and a business around this, because I built a whole platform on speaking facts, bro. And some people hate those facts. That's the reality. Because if you have an opinion on anything that matters, people will attack you for it, or at the very least disagree with you. But also people are going to go, I don't know, this guy might be saying some shit that's true, and then it turns into like, well, let me help you then. You get what I'm saying? So I think that the red pill was a good path at first, but I think it's really gone off the deep end now. I would speak at that convention though, to say exactly what I just said to you now. But also, I don't think that reading these sorts of forums and going down these rabbit holes are it's all speculative, emotionally charged bullshit and not objective truth, and it's not getting to the bottom of anything. That's my thoughts on the red pill, bro.
Yeah, spending too much time on the internet and debating these things and reading about them.
We all spend time on the internet though. We live on the internet. That's the reality. Sure. We all are on our phones. We're all looking at this stuff, the things that we consume, the social things we learn about, the thing. Yeah, it's all the internet. We have to live on the internet, but it's like people can't filter the internet in reality.
Right. For sure. Yeah. They get caught up in it and squabble and the victimhood, and it's all just a big clusterfuck. So yeah, we've covered some really, broad and interesting topics. This has been super fun, man. Tell my listeners how they can, find you. You've got a huge TikTok following. You're like 600,000 on there, or 600,000.
I'm close to that. I'm rounding the bend. I don't post that much. A typical TikToker posts like twice a day, more or less, and they grow. I'd be lucky if I post once every 3 weeks.
Really?
And that's not a strategy, by the way. Don't fucking do that. If you want to grow your account, if I posted every day, I'd be in the millions by now, but I just don't have the bandwidth for it. So I will though. I'm going to take, what's up?
When did you start your TikTok?
10 months ago, something like that.
Okay. I started mine 3 months ago, and I was posting like every day. This is the first live I've done. And I know you say that's kind of the key to growing your TikTok.
No, lives are the key to sales. Lives don't really grow that much to grow your TikTok, but posts do. I would say, like, I try to post a lot, but I end up doing a lot of recycled content and posting just to fill in the gaps between original content posts. My original content posts sometimes are really, really sparse, and that's on me. It's not that don't want to. It's just I get pulled away from them doing a lot of different things. I recommend though, if you're going to grow your TikTok, you need to post every day. That's and any social media needs to be like needs to be basically a post every day at minimum. And I grew 10 months ago, but the thing is, I might post a story. Like I posted a story about the dark side of sugar babies, and like it's a dark story, bro. And I told that story, and I didn't post before that. I didn't post for like a month almost, and then I posted that story, and then grew 100,000 followers overnight. So it's like it just depends, man. It just depends on the type of content you post or whatever. And if it's interesting, if you want to keep hearing that stories. I tell a lot of crazy stories. I tell a lot of really dating stories about me, a lot of dark stories, a lot of stuff that happens in Hollywood, a lot of stories that all of my stories have lessons in them. And sometimes I do jokes too, like, cause that's the point. That's the point of dating in general, is like, don't take life so seriously, keep it light, keep it fun. Sometimes I come across as very serious, but all at the same time, I joke around a lot. I post satire content and shit like that. You know what I mean? So I think you got to have sort of a balance, but that's all speculation too. What?
I like that BDSM one you posted the other day.
BDSM? Which one was that?
It was the most recent post, I think. Maybe it's on Instagram, but it looked like a TikTok. It's like you in a suit, and then at the end, there's like a girl in like.
Oh, the day in the life suit? Yeah. I'll do that too. I do a lot of collabs with girls. I most of the girls that I do collabs with, I know they're friends or I met or something like that, or met them on social media. A lot of people want to hit me up because my following's pretty decent size, so they want to like do collabs or whatever. And I like, even now I have a bunch of people I'm supposed to do collabs with, but it just depends. It depends. And so I don't know the answers, bro. Like as far as growing your account, like, cause it's just sort of it's a guesswork. People find a thing that works for them, and they just sort of dig their heels in and keep doing that. And if you're consistent enough, that could work. Who knows? I'd say that my satire content sometimes gets a lot of controversy, and I grow from that. Sometimes my comedy videos, I don't really grow from that, but I think it's a breath of fresh air for folks. And then also but I think the thing that grows my account the most are like my stories in several parts. Like I tell like a 5-part story about some shit that happened or something. And sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's dark, sometimes it's heavy, but also there's always a lesson for the smart people. The dumb people won't figure it out, and they'll just comment whatever for engagement. But the smart people go, oh shit, I didn't think about that. You see, I speak in parables. There's always something baked in there. But so either way, and the other thing is a lot of creators, whether you're a coach or not, get discouraged on most social media platforms, particularly TikTok, when the whole world, the unfettered masses see your shit. The thing is with that is that so many people have their fucking not very well thought out opinions about things, and they post that shit in your comments, and it can be daunting sometimes to look at, because you're like, oh, is that what I meant? Is that what you heard? Because that's not what I said. Like, and you want to like kind of clap back at fools and all this shit, and it's discouraging. It can be discouraging for creators. It used to be pretty discouraging for me too, because I'm like, that's not what I fucking said. That's not what I meant. That's not what anything. But people will take that and run with it, turn it into something else, whatever. But the thing is like, I'm sitting here squabbling in the comments that maybe a video got 2,000 comments, which is like, whoa, that's a lot, right? But then it got 800,000 likes. And it's easy to lose perspective. You're like, you're sitting here, oh, all these people are commenting on all this shit, but you forget that, 1,000 times more people actually watched the video, double tap like, and enjoyed it, and moved on. You get what I'm saying? So like, my advice is just don't, like, when you create and as you grow, you're going to get heat no matter what. Because if you have an opinion on anything that matters, people are going to spite you. And also people can be trolls. So like, whatever. So just recognize it's like, okay, yeah, there might be 2,000 comments, even if 1,000 of them are hate comments, but 1,000,000 or 800,000 or 500,000 or 40,000 or 10,000 people like the video. Fuck those 1,000 people. You know what I'm saying? If you don't like it, scroll on. So that's the only thing that you really need to like remain aware of, is your like perspective. You know what I'm saying? So if your videos are getting liked by lots and lots of people, fuck the couple hundred people that don't like it. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the reality. It's like you're allowed to not like it, voice your opinion, even boost the engagement. But also, though, who cares? As a creator, just remind yourself that the number of likes and views and all that stuff is way more important than people's dumbass little dumb shit in the comments. You know what I'm saying? So, but the answer is, I think for TikTok creators in general, and creators in general on social media, is just post and do it frequent, and that's it. And when I say frequent, I mean daily. And I say that knowing full well that's not easy. And also, I myself don't post daily, but I think that if you want to be good at it and grow, that's the answer. You see what I mean?
So I'll leave the links obviously in the show notes. But where can people find you? Where can they find out about?
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't even answer your question. All of my social media is Mr. Russell Hartley.
Okay.
You can't miss me. So Instagram, I do daily live streams. That's why, like, we have this back and forth. I'm used to talking like this every day. So I will say that typically my lives are a bit more one-sided. So I'm more on that gear when I go on lives in general. I got to get better at sort of a back and forth. But when my podcast interviews or whatever, when I'm in person, it's much more back and forth. But that being said, you can find me on Mr. Russell Hartley for Instagram. It's Mr. It's like Mr. period, on TikTok. I do have Russell Hartley on TikTok as well. But it just points people to my Mr. Russell Hartley because I wanted to keep them the same. I'm not really a YouTuber. I have a couple YouTube videos. I post my shorts on there. Not really a YouTuber. I'll post YouTube videos sometime in the future. So it's not really like down that path. And my Twitter is, I'm not active on it either. I just post it for jokes, for like jokes for TikTok, basically. But I will be. So just. Yeah, Russell Hartley. You can if you just put Russell Hartley in the search in TikTok or Instagram, you'll find me. I do have a live stream, and then also you can check out my text game guide course. I highly recommend it. There's a preview there. There's a free video. It's like 45 minutes. That shit would definitely check it out. It would absolutely change your life. And guys, for you guys on my Instagram or on my TikTok, I'm speaking here with Rob. It was Kramer, right? Is that how you say your last name?
Yep.
Yeah.
Robbie.
So I got Robbie Kramer here. I follow him on TikTok. Look at my following. The people that I follow. By the way, the people I follow are legit people. I don't follow like bullshit. So follow Robbie. He's a really cool guy. He's a really smart guy. He's like me. Teaches a lot of guys very well thought out, good stuff. There's a lot. I'm telling you guys, I've been in this space a long time. There's a lot of people that are teaching stuff that won't work. Or if it does work, it's short term and it's a quick fix scenario, but it's not healthy and good for you overall. Robbie's one of the few that does a really good job of not only giving you perspective, but also is the right answer to having like an overall good life and a good dating life with women. So definitely recommend this guy. Check him out. Follow him on I'm on both his Instagram and TikTok because his content's great. But if you're looking for him, check out who I'm following. Find Robbie. He's great. Good guy.
Thanks, Russell. Appreciate that, man. And thanks so much for coming on. It's been great to shoot the shit, and maybe we can do it again sometime.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And last thing for you guys, as you know, if you go on iTunes, leave a review. I'll send you this shirt if you like Slavic women.
That's great. That's funny.
Free shirt. Just let me know. Just send me your the screenshot of the review, and I'll see you guys next week.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me, Robbie.
Thanks for listening. If you want more, go to innerconfidence.com and don't forget to subscribe to this podcast for the latest episodes.